You think of the Egyptian gods, and you picture shining gold, majestic pyramids, and benevolent sun worship. You picture stability. But beneath the veneer of order and eternal life lies a pantheon of utter dread. These are not just powerful deities. They are personifications of chaos, destruction, madness, and the ultimate horrifying judgment. We are not talking about pharaohs or gentle protectors. We are talking about the forces that rip the sky apart and devour your soul. Prepare yourself. This is the definitive list of the 10 most terrifying, evil, and destructive gods from Egyptian mythology. Number 1. Set, or Seth, the architect of anarchy and fratricide. He is often depicted as a chaotic and evil deity, the crimson lord of violence, storms, the desert, and utter disorder. Set is the embodiment of everything that threatens the ordered cosmos, or Maat. His terrifying nature is rooted not just in natural forces, but in original sin, the first act of cosmic betrayal. The crime of fratricide. Set is eternally known for his fierce, blinding rivalry with his noble brother Osiris, the great king who brought civilization and agriculture to Egypt. Set's jealousy culminated in the most famous, horrifying crime in Egyptian mythology: murder. Set did not merely kill his brother, he committed an act of sustained, cold-blooded ritual violence. He tricked Osiris into a custom-made chest, a sarcophagus. He sealed the chest and threw it into the Nile River. When Osiris's wife Isis recovered the body, Set tracked it down and, in a fit of rage and terror, dismembered the corpse into 14 separate pieces, scattering them across Egypt to prevent Osiris from ever being made whole again. This act of fratricide and desecration makes Set the purest symbol of internal corruption, the chaos that springs from within the royal family itself. He is not just chaos, he is the terrifying inevitability that even in the most perfect order, hatred will find a way to tear it down. The war on order. Set's reign of terror did not stop there. He engaged in brutal, lifelong battles with Horus, Osiris's son, for control of the throne. These battles were savage, marked by mutilation and magical warfare. He is the master of ambush and deception, the one who revels in destruction for its own sake. When he speaks, the sky roars, the earth trembles, and the desert winds become slicing knives. To the Egyptians, encountering Set meant encountering an unreasoning, malevolent force that sought to dismantle every structure of their ordered world. Number 2. Apep, or Apophis, the serpent god of existential dread. If Set represents the chaos that threatens order, Apep, or Apophis, represents the chaos that is fundamental to existence itself. He is the serpent god of chaos, destruction, and annihilation, embodying the forces of darkness and disorder that constantly seek to swallow up all of creation. The eternal enemy. Apep's terror is existential. He is not merely an evil god. He is the ultimate primordial enemy of the sun god, Ra. Every single night, as Ra's solar barge travels through the underworld, Duat, to be reborn at dawn, Apep waits. His sole, unceasing goal is to devour Ra and plunge the entire cosmos into eternal darkness, noon. The battles between Ra and Apep are not just mythical stories, they were believed to be literal events happening every night. Every storm, every unexpected eclipse, every moment of confusion was attributed to Apep's temporary victories. The terrifying implication is that survival is never guaranteed. It is only bought with a nightly, desperate, and often failing struggle against an eternal, monstrous hunger. The ritual of annihilation. Apep is so terrifying that the Egyptians developed elaborate rituals specifically to ensure his magical defeat. Priests would create effigies of Apep out of wax, inscribe them with curses, trample them, burn them, and grind them into powder, reciting spells of smashing, hacking, cutting, and vomiting. These elaborate acts of ritualistic violence show the level of fear he commanded. He is the negative force so powerful that he can only be faced through magical annihilation. He is the terror of the abyss, the force that ensures that even if you die and reach the afterlife, the universe itself is still in danger. Number 3. Ammit, or Ammit, the devourer of souls. She is the creature whose sole terrifying purpose is to complete the destruction of the unworthy. Ammit is the ultimate boogeyman of the Egyptian afterlife, personification of the dread of final, utter annihilation. The monstrous composite. Ammit is also known as the devourer of the dead, or the soul eater. Her physical description is a composite of the 3 largest, fiercest man-eaters known to the Egyptians. The head of a crocodile, the predator of the Nile. The front legs of a lion, the predator of the desert. The hind legs of a hippopotamus, the most dangerous beast in the river. She is a creature engineered by fear, a perfect, terrifying chimera of unstoppable natural fury. Her reign of terror occurs in the Hall of Two Truths during the weighing of the heart ceremony. After the deceased has made their final defense before Osiris and the 42 judges, the heart is placed on one side of the scale, and the feather of Ma'at, truth and order, is placed on the other. If the heart is heavy with sin, heavier than the feather, the judgment is immediate and fatal. Ammit waits patiently, seated next to the scales. Her job is to devour the heart of the deceased. This is the most terrifying fate possible in Egyptian belief. It is not damnation, hell, or eternal punishment. It is non-existence. The soul, the Ba and Ka, ceases to exist, cut off from the cycle of rebirth and immortality. Ammit's terror is the fear that after life, there is simply nothing.
Number 5. Sekhmet, the Lady of Plague and Slaughter. She is a lioness-headed goddess, a deity of immense power, associated with war, destruction, and vengeance. Sekhmet is terrifying because she is not chaos. She is the righteous fury of the supreme gods, a terrifying, unquenchable power unleashed by the order itself. The punishment of humanity. Sekhmet's terrifying origin story is laid out in the Book of the Heavenly Cow. When the sun god, Ra, grew old, humanity conspired against him and ceased to respect his rule. To punish this rebellion, Ra unleashed his powerful daughter, Sekhmet, upon humanity. She took her terrible task seriously. Sekhmet descended to earth and began a ferocious, systematic slaughter of the rebels, drinking their blood and reveling in the carnage. Her rage was so immense and addictive that she could not stop. She became the goddess who brings plagues and epidemics upon humanity as a means of punishment, often depicted as a blood-crazed, unstoppable force of nature. The unstoppable fury. Sekhmet's terrifying aspect is her uncontrolled rage. The gods had to trick her to stop the total annihilation of mankind. They mixed thousands of jugs of beer with red ochre and poured the mixture onto the battlefield. Sekhmet, thinking it was the blood of her victims, drank the massive volume of liquid until she became hopelessly drunk and fell asleep. Only then did her bloodlust subside. This story shows that Sekhmet is not evil. She is simply too powerful for control. She is the terrifying personification of epidemics, war, and the uncontrollable wrath of the cosmos, a force that can only be stopped by deception, not by command. She is both a healer and the primary bringer of disease, the perfect embodiment of divine, terrifying duality.
Number 5. Manivas, the earthquake and famine horror. This inclusion, often referred to as the Minotaur by later Greek sources due to similar associations, but known to the Egyptians as a spirit or force rather than a specific deity, represents the terrifying reality of unpredictable natural disaster and the chaos it brings. He is seen as a symbol of chaos and disruption, tied directly to the subterranean forces that threaten stability. The source of subterranean rage. The terror of this force stems from its believed capability of causing earthquakes and other extreme natural disasters that bring devastation and disruption to the highly agricultural society of ancient Egypt. Unlike Set, whose chaos is often visible, storms, desert, the Minotaur's terror is subtle and unexpected. A sudden, ground-shaking violence that destroys the foundations of life. The Egyptians built their entire civilization along the stable banks of the Nile. The idea that the very ground beneath their feet, the foundation of all their structures and crops, could suddenly erupt in unpredictable violence was a profound, daily terror. The Minotaur personifies this ultimate geological betrayal. The disruption of life and famine. His influence was also tied to the disruption of the crucial Nile flood cycle. The annual inundation was life. A disrupted or disastrous flood was death. When the Nile waters failed to rise correctly, or when the ground shifted and ruined irrigation channels, it was seen as the act of the Minotaur, bringing famine, starvation, and societal breakdown. This terrifying figure is the personification of the what-if scenario. What if the earth itself turned against us? What if the steady flow of life-giving water stopped? His terror is existential because it targets the very infrastructure of survival that the Egyptians worked tirelessly to maintain. He is the ultimate, unpredictable geological and climatic nemesis. Number 6. Sobek, the god of sudden, brutal violence. While often worshipped to placate him, Sobek, the crocodile god, is inherently terrifying because he is the personification of unpredictable, efficient, and brutal violence waiting just beneath the surface of the peaceful Nile. He is the raw, cold-blooded aggression of nature. The teeth and the blood. Sobek is depicted as a full crocodile or a man with the head of a crocodile. Crocodiles were the single most feared predator in ancient Egypt, responsible for countless deaths of fishermen, farmers, and bathers. Sobek's cult acknowledged this terrifying reality, viewing him as a god of fertility and the Nile, but fertility only achieved through predation and raw, unthinking power. His terrifying aspect is the sheer speed and finality of his attack. One moment you are drinking from the river, the next you are dragged beneath the muddy surface and never to be seen again. Sobek embodies the concept of the hidden threat, the sudden, inescapable, and visceral end that awaits the unwary. The patron of sin. Sobek's mythology further cements his terrifying status. He was said to be linked to Set, having helped Set in some of his crimes, including the dismemberment of Osiris.
This association ties him directly to the first crime of chaos and sacrilege. Furthermore, he was a god who was worshipped specifically for his destructive nature, in the hope that by acknowledging his power, he would choose not to attack the worshipper. His temples often housed living, adorned crocodiles, creating an atmosphere of perpetual, nervous dread. Sobek is the terrifying realization that the life-giving river is also the ultimate, bloody engine of death.
Number 7. Heka, the god of unpredictable magic and control. Heka is the god of magic and medicine, a seemingly benevolent role. However, his power is one of the most terrifying in the entire pantheon because he represents the fundamental force that makes all reality malleable. Heka is the god of control and mind-bending manipulation. The fundamental force. Heka is more than just a deity. He is the active principle of creation. The Egyptians believed Heka was the force used by the creator god to establish the cosmos. Therefore, Heka's power is the terrifying idea that reality itself is a construct that can be rewritten by those who know the spells. His terror stems from the unpredictable nature of magic. If Heka controls all spells, all curses, and all enchantments, then no boundary is safe. A curse from an enemy priest becomes a literal unstoppable force of reality. If you are afflicted, Heka is the one who enables the affliction. The power of the word. Heka embodies the power of the word as action. The priest or magician, by invoking Heka, does not ask the gods to change things. They command reality to change. This is a frightening level of control, a power that makes gods and mortals alike vulnerable to manipulation. This terrifying authority over reality meant Heka was both revered and deeply feared. His terrifying aspect is the knowledge that the world is not stable. It is always subject to the terrifying, unforeseen changes wrought by magical command. He is the ultimate game master whose rules can be altered without warning. Number 8. Khonsu, the moon god of madness and bloodlust. Khonsu is primarily known as the moon god, time and fertility, often depicted as a beautiful youth. However, his terrifying aspect, revealed in the earliest texts, shows him as a god of sudden, violent punishment and unpredictable bloodlust, a moonlit agent of chaos. The terrifying aspect, the cannibal pharaoh. Khonsu's deepest, darkest secret is recorded in the pyramid texts, specifically the cannibal hymn. In this terrifyingly archaic spell, the deceased king is said to become a predator god who hunts, slaughters, and eats the gods themselves to absorb their power. Khonsu is revealed as the god who acts as the royal butcher in this scenario. The passage states that Khonsu slaughters the lords and cuts out their pieces for the king. This ties Khonsu directly to ritualistic cannibalism and mass execution of the divine beings. His terror is ancient and primal, the fear of the dark side of the moon, which acts as a silent, cold-blooded executioner. The unpredictable fury. Beyond the texts, Khonsu was associated with disease and healing, specifically known for causing and curing sickness at his whim. His lunar cycle association made him profoundly unpredictable. His mood could shift like the phases of the moon. One moment, a healer of kings. The next, a terrifying, bloodthirsty butcher aiding in the slaughter of the divine council. He is the terror of unpredictable judgment, a beautiful deity with the ancient capacity for visceral, horrific violence. His light is cold, and his justice is often swift and brutal.
Number 9. Neith, the terrible war goddess and cosmic weaver. Neith is one of the oldest deities in the Egyptian pantheon, and her terror is twofold. She is a fierce, uncompromising war goddess, and the embodiment of cosmic inevitability. The weaver of fate who can be terrifyingly impartial. The unstoppable hunter. Neith is depicted wearing the crown of Lower Egypt and crossed arrows, signifying her role as a goddess of hunting and war. Unlike Sekhmet, whose rage is uncontrolled, Neith's violence is calculated, disciplined, and utterly unstoppable. She is the mistress of the bow, and her terror is the speed and accuracy of the hunter's inevitable strike. Her terrifying aspect is her implacability. She is described in texts as the terrible mother and the ruler of arrows. When she enters a conflict, she does not stop until her target is eliminated. She represents the terrifying efficiency of well-aimed destruction. The weaver of fate. More profoundly terrifying, Neith is associated with the primordial watery chaos, Nun, and is often cited as a creator goddess who wove the cosmos. This makes her the goddess who knows and controls the threads of all destiny. Her terror lies in her absolute neutrality. As the weaver of fate, she is the one who determines when life ends, when war begins, and when the threads are cut. She can be terrifyingly benevolent or utterly destructive, but her will is absolute and impervious to prayer. She is the terrifying realization that your life is part of a grand, impersonal design that she controls. Number 10. Bes, the grotesque defender and night terror. Bes is the dwarf god of protection, childbirth, and pleasure, often depicted as a grotesque comedic figure. He seems out of place on this list, but his terrifying power is linked directly to madness, nightmares, and warding off evil by being even more frightening than the evil itself. The grotesque visage. Bes is deliberately ugly. A squat, bow-legged dwarf with a frightening mask-like face, wild hair, and a tongue often sticking out. He is terrifying not because of his evil, but because his appearance is designed to repel evil and strike fear into the hearts of demons. He is the face of primal dread used as a defense mechanism. The problem is that a figure terrifying enough to scare demons is also inherently terrifying to mortals. He is the god of the grotesque, the one who brings the sight of madness to the doorstep of the underworld. The night protector and madness. His terrifying function occurred most often in the vulnerable moments of life, during childbirth and sleep. He protected mothers from night demons, but to do so, he had to appear and be terrifying. He is the god of night terrors and the strange sights seen on the edge of sleep. Furthermore, his association with pleasure and wildness meant he was often linked to irrationality and madness. While he protects the home, his methods are grotesque, loud, and designed to induce shock and fear in anyone, friend or foe. His inclusion highlights the terrifying reality that to fight demons, sometimes you need a god who looks and acts like a greater demon. We have navigated the hull of two truths and faced the most terrifying forces known to the ancient world. But which of these deities, from the fratricidal rage of Set to the soul-consuming hunger of Ammit, do you fear the most? If your heart was on the scale, whose judgment would you truly dread? Let us know in the comments below. If you survived this journey into the abyss, smash the like button and subscribe now to continue exploring the terrifying truths lurking beneath history's surface. Fear is the beginning of wisdom.